Recording's begun. Welcome all. For those of you who don't know me or you've never been to one of these sessions before, my name is Greg Nash. I'm a data platform MVP based in Melbourne. So I'm just going to do a little bit of muting. We are doing Friday Lunch and Learn. This is a Power BI Lunch and Learn session. We're focusing on using AI tools with Power BI and see where we're up to. There's a few AI tools that are built into Power BI. We might have a little bit of a look at those, but I'm mostly interested in just trying to figure out how much AI can do for us in terms of the process of building a Power BI report. Can it do analysis? Can it build things? Can it write DAX? Can it write Power Query? I know many of you will know the answer to many of those questions. And then how good is it? And then what is it like to actually try and actually build something with it? So that's what I want to try and do. And we'll do it over a series. I don't think we'll be able to get through a whole session in an hour, but we'll do it over a series of things. I have hit the mute all button so that it should be just me talking. So if you need to unmute yourself for whatever reason, feel free. I'm happy for this to be a collaborative session, but for the most part, it'll probably just be me talking. If you guys want to contribute or you've got anything to say, feel free to put your hand up or let me know in the chat or just jump on in, feel free. Otherwise, I'd appreciate if you could keep your microphones on mute in the short term. Awesome. ChatGPT is probably better than Phrasor, which annoys me. Yeah, there's all sorts of interesting things. Okay, where's everybody from? A few from Melbourne. We've got someone from Queensland, someone from India. Welcome, Nishant. There's someone whose daughter's at daycare. Thanks, Steve. Welcome. Melbourne. Let me know where you're from. There's a few in the. How many have we got in the chat? We've got like 60 people. Oof. People are interested. Lots of Melbournes. All right, welcome. Well, I'm sure I know it's many of you I know. So for those who I know, welcome. I made this picture in Midjourney 2 seconds ago. It's a person lunching and learning with a robot for some reason. So if you missed that, it was right at the beginning of the presentation. That was in Midjourney. If you don't know what Midjourney is, it's like a chat thing in Discord that you can create images with. We'll use it later, I'm sure. So I figured to get started, what we kind of need is like a way to test whether ChatGPT and all these AI tools, like how good are they at different stages of the Power BI building process, right? So first we need a process. I was thinking what I would do is I just ask ChatGPT for a process. Is there anyone who's like not played with ChatGPT? Is probably gets the smallest number of things. Is there anyone who's never seen ChatGPT? Type 1 in the chat if you've never done anything with ChatGPT. Tori's never done it. Oh, yeah. 1. Okay, we've got a few. 1 in the chat. If you've never touched ChatGPT, Daniel's never touched it. Nicole's never touched it. Okay. Jason, Linda. Oh, there's a few. All right. This could be a real interesting day for everyone that hasn't seen it. If you've never seen it before, then prepare yourself. It's pretty awesome. I'm sure many of you have seen demos of crazy stuff. Okay. All right. I'm going to end the presentation. That was only one slide in that presentation. I didn't even. Oh, look, I'll save it. It's called Lunch and Learn. We'll use that from now on. Here I am on an empty desktop. I've got ChatGPT open. It's here. Couple of things I want to point out. I should have my Zoom it open so that I can zoom in on things. Let me do that. Did we get a notification that recording had started? Can someone just confirm recording's going? Oh, it has started. Yeah, I got it. Sorry, it's all good. This is ChatGPT in its sort of web form. There's also the OpenAI Azure portal, OpenAI Studio. This is ChatGPT inside Azure. Same sort of thing. You can have a look at the chat playground. This 3.5 model, so if I create a new chat, these different models, you've got the default 3.5 model, GPT-4, and then a deprecated model. And then there's all these plugins and stuff. I don't have access to any of the cool plugins, if you're wondering about that. When I do have access, then we will play with them. We will be using ChatGPT-4 for many of this, but I've been saving it up because we only get a limited number of ChatGPT-4 tokens that we can use in the thing. And so I'm going to stick with GPT 3.5 for a little while as well. Helen just said she can only see the slide on the screen. Is that still the case, or has it caught up is everyone okay from a slide perspective?
I can see GPT window at the moment.
GPT window, cool, awesome. Hopefully Zoom it's running. I can't remember what my Zoom controls are. Let me just check. Control Alt Z. Oh, like that. Awesome. Okay, I see. Look, zoom, zoom, zoom. All right, now I can zoom. Okay, awesome. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see I've got a list of all these things. Now, don't judge me, right? I asked ChatGPT all sorts of weird questions. Chatting with an 11-year-old. My daughter asked ChatGPT questions. What's the origins of dogs? There's one. Some of these are, really real things. Some of them aren't. I was working on my golf training. I wanted a sugar cookie recipe. So there'll be weird stuff in the left-hand side. Just saying. I ask it about religious things sometimes. This is what I've been doing a lot, is testing kind of the limits of what ChatGPT does. I see things online. I see what they're like. Sometimes I just throw out random questions just to see how it will answer. Illegal Lego building techniques. That's a good one too. And I saw that on Lego Masters, right? They were talking about illegal Lego building techniques. And so I was like, what are the illegal Lego building techniques? And apparently there's many of them. Stressing Lego, floating bricks, inconsistent geometry, studs not fully connected, using non-Lego elements, sideways connections, which is using only the tubes underneath, and incompatible piece combinations. So connecting bricks that weren't connected, supposed to be connected together. So there you go. So what is ChatGPT? It's a large language model. It's a generative AI. What it does, the way that kind of works is it breaks up your message. So if this is a message that's happening down the bottom here, we've got this message that we type. As we type the message, the AI predicts basically what the next series of words will be, but it's actually not a series of words. It's actually a series of tokens. And so this concept of tokenization. It might look a bit like black rectangles because of my thing. Illegal Lego building techniques. Yeah, James noticed that for sure. All right. It finally appeared. It might be a bit slow on your connection, Helen. Apologies. The sharing, the web, my web upload has been playing around a lot today. I'm actually on my mobile phone at the moment because that was the most reliable. So what do tokens look like? So I think I've got something up here that will show us if I have a look at the tokenizer. So this is platform.openai.com/tokenizer. It shows you how OpenAI tokenizes things. So if I put in, this is a prompt for OpenAI Chat GPT. Now this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words, but you see it's got 11 tokens. And the way that it breaks it up is it's colored by these colors here, right? So if we look down here, so each one of these is a different token. And then you'll see sometimes, so ChatGPT has been broken up into 3 tokens, even though it's kind of one word. And open has been broken up into 2 tokens. No, how do I get my, is it Alt that does the arrow? What does an arrow? Can't remember. Control Alt. There's the arrow. All right. And what it does is it takes each piece of the word and then it predicts the next output, right? So it's kind of dumb in a way, but it's also seems like it's really smart because it's been trained on billions and billions of internet articles, basically all of the internet. So it's really good at predicting what the next series of words should be when you're talking to it, which is kind of weird and scary. So what do? You say, hi, I'd like to, well, actually what you would normally do is put in some kind of system prompt. So what you can say is, your name is, we'll call you Sherlock, because like I do Deal Watson Consulting. That's the name of my consulting company. I've got a lot of Watson and Sherlock Holmes references. So your name is Sherlock. Act as an expert in Power BI with an unreasonable number of years, 10 years experience. Everybody wants 10 years of experience in Power BI. Now we can have it. Okay. You are also An expert in SQL. You spend a lot of time online on sites like Reddit. So when you speak, you answer like a Reddit user. And what I'm doing here is I'm providing it a little bit of context and I'm giving it a personality. I've also given it a name. Okay, and so one of the kind of secrets to these types of large language models, open, is that you can kind of prompt it. The more context you give it, the more powerful it kind of is, and it'll give you sort of more useful kind of outputs. You can tell it to not to only answer if it knows the answers, because it will do what's called hallucination. It'll guess. It'll do all sorts of strange things to you. So we'll say, okay, your name's Sherlock, act as an expert in Power BI with 10 years of experience. You're an expert in SQL, spend a lot of time on Reddit. So when you speak, you answer like a Reddit user. You are here to help us build Power BI report. You'll see me make all sorts of spelling mistakes because I'm a terrible writer. It actually doesn't matter that much in ChatGPT because it kind of knows what you're talking about anyway, because it kind of predicts what you meant. So it's usually okay. I was just talking about that capitalization error there, but like it'll be fine. Here to help us build a Power BI report, and then you say something like respond with yes to acknowledge. Acknowledge. There we go. I can't spell acknowledge, and that's misspelled. And stay idle, which means just wait for me to chat now. So I'm giving it this personality, and then it should say, yes, I'm here and I'm ready to help you build your Power BI report. Let me know what you need. So it's like, so if you've never seen ChatGPT before, it's a really powerful chatbot. It's basically the best way to think of it. Okay, so we're ready to build a Power BI report. All right, so what approach should we take? And I'm interested kind of in the early stages of a Power BI development piece, right? Okay, so it's given me some suggestions here. It says to build an effective Power BI report, we need to define our objectives and then gather some data and then design our report and then build our report and then test and refine our report. Okay, it's not a bad process. Probably a few extra bits and pieces there, but like, and you can say to it, well, I'm not really happy with that answer. Try again, and you say it'll regenerate the answer, and then you get a slightly different answer. So now we've got define the purpose of the report, gather and prepare the data, design the report, create the report, test and refine the report, and share the report, which is probably slightly better, I think. I like this define the purpose of the report. I prefer that as a thing. All right, so let's see. I want to create like a bit of a scoreboard for ChatGPT. See how well it can follow its own process, eh? So if I put ChatGPT here and I'll grab these 6 things, is it gonna, yeah, it is gonna do that nicely. When you paste it into other stuff, it does strange things with font, I've noticed. Okay. So I wonder to myself, how good is it going to be at defining the purposes of a report? Is it going to be able to, is it helpful to me in that regard? Helping, so that's gathering requirements, sorting out the scope of a report, understanding what I mean when I give it things. So I guess that's kind of, we'll give it a score out of 10. And then gathering and preparing data. So we'll say this is the step and this is the score. And I will just put zeros in here just to remove some of that noise. Okay. Make it nice and big. So we're going to ask it to help us define the purpose of our report. We're going to help it get it to gather and prepare data. Probably you can't gather data for us, but it might be able to help us prepare data, or it might be able to help us synthesize data. So we'll talk a little bit about. We'll see how it goes for that. We'll see if it can provide any help with designing our report. We'll see if it can provide any help with creating our report. We'll see if it can provide any help with testing and refining our report. And then finally, with sharing our report. Is there anything else that we want to test? Anybody want to throw any other ideas in for what we should do? I really wanted to just randomly analyze some data. So I might add in a separate step here, which is number 7, analyze a data set, a random data set. Create a measure. I think I'll get rid of the numbers eventually anyway, so we'll just do that. We'll say create a power query, which I'm sure we'll do as in optimizing. That's a good one. Nice one, Reza. Optimizing. DAX, is that Pia? Was that DAX functions and suggestions to get better visualizations instead of the ones we uses? Okay, so I'll put in, well, measure is DAX function, so I'll leave that. DAX, yep, cool. Visual suggestions. That's going to be tough, I reckon, because we're going to have to describe the visual. Better visuals. We'll have to think about that.
With the visual suggestions, you could just say, I have these 3 metrics. What's the best visual to use that?
Yeah, that's good. So part of visual suggestions might be something like that. Okay, nice one. Some video freezing stuff, bespoke visuals. I'll put that under visual suggestions as well. Driven. I think that's all kind of goes under visualization. Okay, so how good is it at getting scope? How good is it helping us with data and preparing the data and identifying what the sources we need to connect to and that kind of thing? Can it help in report design? Can it help us in creating a report, which is creating a measure, creating the power query? Can it help us test and refine so that optimizing the dashboard sort of sits under testing and refining? Can it help us do visual suggestions? Data modeling, that's an interesting one as well. Data modeling, will it suggest a star schema? Another really interesting question. All right, I think that's plenty. We obviously will not get through this in this hour. What we'll do though is just get ourselves set up and hopefully into the groove of kind of figuring out how to ask this thing questions in the right kind of format. If this is scoring like 10s across the board, then we're all out of a job. I imagine it'll go really well in some areas. It'll need obviously manual intervention in a lot of ways, and so that's always going to be interesting. But yeah, will the robots take over anytime soon? That's the purpose of our thing. Man, we've got like 72 people in the thing. There's obviously a lot of interest around this stuff. It's awesome. Okay, so let's start with defining our report. What business questions are you trying to answer? I'm really happy to see, this is up here. What business question are you trying to answer? I'm really happy to see that it put that there because I think that's one of the number one things, with our report, identifying the metrics and KPIs that we want to track and analyze. All right, let's see how we go. So let's start with defining the purpose of our reports. That one, Michael, I saw you posted that on LinkedIn. That is very interesting, doing all the analysis. There's lots of stuff. There's stuff coming about this every day. All right, so I'm gonna zoom into ChatGPT. Can I zoom into ChatGPT and make it a bit bigger? I can. Hey, look at that. How BI help offered. Let's start with defining the purpose of the report. What approach should we take? Oh, if I could. Go. Oh, can't just hit return, obviously. Go. Defining the purpose of the report is an essential step in building a Power BI report. To define the purpose of the report, you can follow these steps. Identify the business question. Identify the key metrics. Identify the target audience. Determine the frequency of the report. Pretty good. Identify the data sources. Following these steps, you can define the purpose of the report. Now, I'm still in GPT 3.5 because I'm saving my 4s. I might ask GPT-4 the same question. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to change it to GPT-4, but I'm going to go back. Actually, I've got to go back to this chat and get my original prompt, which is my name's Sherlock. I'm here, Sherlock. New chat, GPT-4. I acknowledge that I am Sherlock, an expert in Power BI with 10 years of experience, more experience than anyone else. Let me know how I can assist you. Okay. Let us ask it. We need to define. Was it defining the purpose of the report? Was that what I said? Defining the purpose of the report is a crucial first step. See how it's a little bit better at, like it's a little more, it's using this Reddit hive mind. See, it says, hey, Reddit hive mind, right? It's using that Reddit personality much more. GPT-4 is much better at adopting a personality. It's also putting bold on these things, which I'm quite happy with. Identifying the audience, understanding the needs, defining the key metrics, establishing the scope, outlining the report structure, collaborate and iterate. So interesting. All right, I guess we got to figure out what kind of report we're going to build, though. I've got lots of different data sets, and to be honest, I'm happy to take suggestions here because I'm just interested to see where we get. What sort of report is people interested in? I'd like to probably focus on something that's not sales because everybody does sales. Let's do something different. Let's look up some online. Hey, someone put some links in for some online data sets that you like. I know Maven's got a bunch, and there's ones on things like oh, my mind's gone blank. I always use the UCS data sets for my sample report stuff. UCCS, is that it? Common data sets. University of Colorado.
Training dropout rates.
Training dropout rates. I need to find. I think I need to start with a data set. Otherwise, we'll be in all sorts of world of hurt. What is it called? I thought it was called UCS. No, machine learning. UCS machine learning. Probably should have. Repository. This is what I'm looking at. This is fun. Any suggestions while I'm looking at that? Hang on. Lance has got one. Oh, yeah, let's do something Australian. New South Wales health data. Emergency department data refers to information collected on persons' visit to the New South Wales Public Emergency Department. Perinatal? Okay, let's do emergency departments. That's kind of fun. Patient wait times. Okay, well, let's see what it's got. Are these the data sets? Do I need to go in here? Or is this going to take me to another place? Healthcare data portal. Emergency data, emergency department. Patient survey. Oh, all of them. I want all. Boarding level. Hospital. Select hospital. Oh no, New South Wales. All questions. All questions. Give me a data set. Oh no, it's not a. Oh, can I download at least a CSV? Oh, what is this? I don't think this is going to be any good. But Driven's got one. Here's CSV files. This is what we really need. I just don't want to spend too much time trying to figure out how to use the website to get the CSV. All right. There's an enterprise survey, business operations survey, price index, economic, any good ones in here. We'll find one with a decent amount of stuff. Price and wage setting. All right. I'm just going to randomly choose this. Will it work? Excel is opening. Or is it? Why isn't my Excel opening? Have I got something going on with Excel where
You clicked into the cell.
Yeah, you need to escape from the cell.
Oh, thanks, Excel experts. Well done. All right, thank you. Description, industry, level, size, code, line, value. All right, I'm just going to copy like this much. Lost all my tabs, sorry. I'll get them back. Here it is. Now, sometimes I guess customers do this to you sometimes. I don't know, for those of you who are consultants or people who build things for other people. Here's a sample of our data. What can we ask of it? I guess this kind of speaks to the analysis thing, right? Of data from our data set. What's the first thing we're supposed to do? What's the audience? See if it understands it. I'll just ask it to provide some analysis, like as simple as that. See what it says. Okay, looks like we're working with a data set containing information on the number of businesses with different sizes and industries where their main customer base is individuals or households. Let's break down some insights we can gather from the data. Overall business distribution, industry distribution, size distribution within industries, top industries by size, to perform more in-depth analysis, we can create various visualizations. So because I've set this thing that it's a Power BI expert, it will always come back to like, well, we can do this in Power BI by doing this and this. Like bar charts to compare the number of businesses across industries. Now, I want to look at this carefully because it might be making stuff up right now. Is there anyone that actually really knows this data set? Remember not to divulge your company's data on job. I should make that point actually, because I am copying and pasting like random data sets. If you've got company data particularly with like personally identifiable information, don't put it into Chat GPT. It's not a great idea. If you do have that business scenario where you want it to use it in this way, and this is actually one of the things I'm quite interested in, is that you potentially can use Azure OpenAI Studio for this, right? Because this will be the secure example, the secure area. Now, I believe they did put in, and I haven't put in the settings. We should actually check. Data controls, chat history and training. So you can turn off chat history and training, save new chats to your history and allow them to be improved ChatGPT via model training. Unsaved chats will be deleted from our systems in 30 days, right? You can turn this off and it won't use your data to train the model, so it makes it a bit more secure. So you should definitely turn that off if you want to use it with anything. But I would probably strongly recommend right now to not even risk that. I would just remove any personally identifiable information in there. And the easiest thing to do there would, let's say this was a name of somebody, you could just replace your when you're giving it sample data, just replace those columns with something else. As long as there's nothing in there identifiable, then you should be fine from that perspective. But you have to be very careful about sharing. This goes the same, like a lot of people use it to summarize emails and stuff, and they'll just mindlessly paste in like the whole email, including like the person's addresses and stuff. Well, then that's going to get used to train the ChatGPT data potentially. So you've got a big data risk component there. So this is not something you should muck around with, because you might just create an unintentional data leak. And you are seeing some countries and some organizations having a problem with that. Like I think Italy banned ChatGPT because they didn't think it complied with GDPR. And so there's, I think that's what that toggle button is about being able to turn off their ability to train on your own data. So big one to keep an eye out on. But we'll see how good it is at creating sample reports for us anyway, at least in the short term. Okay, now we've got our security thing out of the way. I've got Power BI open here as well, but we're not going to use that just yet. All right, back to our guy, Sherlock. Okay, so he says, looking at the data set, it's containing information about the number of businesses with sizes and industries where their main customer base is individuals or households. So is that right? Well, we've got businesses, main customer base in, okay, individuals or households. So that's where I got that from. Industries, levels, sizes, line code. That's just some kind of code for each line, and then a value. Okay, so this is number of businesses total with 6 to 19 employees. There's 15,639. Is that what we Samsung bands are used? There you go, Shelley. Yep, Samsung's banned it. There's a few out there that different companies are reacting in different ways to this kind of technology. Okay, so I wonder. So the granularity of this is that's a description of a metric. Business main customer, individuals or so where the business's main customer is individuals or households, there are total number of businesses that have 6 to 19 employees. Am I reading that right? I feel like I'm reading it right. In agriculture, the total number of businesses where their main customer is individuals or households, there's 48. So it's an aggregation of the different businesses in New Zealand. I assume this was a co.nz, wasn't it? So do we have a technology one? There's never technology in this. Professional services, transport industry, 189 businesses. Okay, that says level 2. Oh, a bit further down, maybe. Professional services, scientific and technical. There's 1,191. 1,191. Probably download and use OpenLLM models from Hugging Face to embed within your enterprise customers so that no PIR is going to go out to OpenAI. Yeah, it's probably a reasonable way to go. Like I said, I think, and that's kind of the purpose also of Microsoft sort of jumping on with the OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, is for that kind of scenario as well. You can host your own. So in the back end, this what we're looking at here is just an Azure OpenAI model that's being run for everybody type thing. It's just so you can build your own and then have that as a private one, and it's never going to get shared or retrained out unless you ask it to type thing. So Bloomberg reported staff had uploaded sensitive code to ChatGPT. Who was that? That was Samsung. Yeah. There's a lot of code because people are using it a lot for programming. Okay, so we could use it. So it's done the analysis, number of businesses of different sizes and industries where their main customer base is individuals or household, because it hasn't seen the rest of the data, so I only gave it a certain amount, breaking it down. Okay, so it's already gone to breaking down insights. So what we wanted to do though is identify the audience. So let's get it to do that first. I know I'm asking it to make suggestions. This is often the case when you're sitting if you're sitting in a scenario where you're asking your end users or your business stakeholders or whatever what the audience is, they'll often be able to tell you, right? So maybe we should make up an audience, but let's get a suggestion. What might be the audience? It's pretty good at making suggestions for this type of stuff. Industry analysts, economic development organizations, entrepreneurs looking to start a new business where they might be interested in data to identify promising industries to understand the competitive landscape in terms of business size. Well, that's a good. Let's focus on that as a on 5 examples. Yeah, it helped me define it. It's the same sort of thing. So as Michael points out, you can actually just refer to let's focus on audience audience 2 in we said point 3. So it knows I'm talking about entrepreneurs and investors. So it's referring back to the previous. So it's got the history. Now there is a limit to how far back it'll go, right? It can only remember so much stuff. Sometimes, so eventually, what'll happen is it'll forget its name Sherlock, because you've only got so many tokens it can predict on, and so you have to keep that in mind for this type of if you're doing this type of work with it, where you're running a long kind of piece of analysis, or you're getting it to expand. It's going to run out of memory in terms of what it can remember it's supposed to be doing. So it'll eventually forget that it's supposed to be a Power BI person from Reddit and all that kind of stuff. That might have already done that.
I've actually taken to putting that character into each of my prompts.
Into your prompts, yeah.
Every single time I just copy paste that same thing in case it forgets.
Yeah, I do a similar kind of thing. I usually leave it for a couple, and then I'll remind it what it's supposed to be, to just keep the flow of it going, because it is a bit weird when it sometimes it's really obvious. It goes from it's this personality to standard ChatGPT responses. Yeah. And standard ChatGPT responses, you can almost always tell ChatGPT responses because they come in this this kind of thing. It's usually always gives you a bullet pointed list with a title and a colon, and then a big long explanation of what it is, and so that you'll see it's got the same pattern each time, right? So people who are kind of using ChatGPT in its most basic way, it's pretty obvious. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to create like a blog post or something, and you just paste this stuff into a blog post. People will pick you for using ChatGPT straight away these days. You have to get a bit creative in terms of getting it to write it in different styles if you want to use it for that type of marketing type stuff.
And they're introducing the system statement or system command, something like that, which will allow you to specify that when you set it, the system message. That's it.
System message. So this is it here. So this is what it looks like in the back end. So what will happen? What happens is it's got this ChatGPT here only has just a standard system message, which is you're an AI assistant that helps people. You can provide that as the core system message, so it'll continuously have that. So if we were building a Power BI expert bot, we would have that in as our system message, and you can see it's pretty much the same model. So I'll just copy my first prompt in here, and if I put it in here, save the changes. So I've updated the system message now, and now when I type stuff in there, hi, I'd like to build for my HR department. And so what kind of data are you looking to? Do you have a specific format or visualization in mind? Let's discuss the requirements. So it's doing it in much more of a chat body type way, but you'll get similar kind of outputs. Now, this is only ChatGPT 3.5. I have requested access to ChatGPT 4, but I haven't got it yet. So if you're just using, you do have to request access to Open Azure AI Studio. I'll give you some links and stuff to this if you're interested in the Azure side of the fence, which I think is probably, it's really interesting to think about. This is where if you wanted to run your own version of ChatGPT using your own company data, then you'd be using this type of stuff. So I'll show you how to you can get connected to that. Right, how are we doing for time? We're about 45 minutes in. Expected this to take a little while to kind of get our groove on in terms of how we actually do this. Okay, so we identified the audience. It had a look at the data. It provided a couple of business distributions. Majority of the businesses in the data set are small because we only gave it a small subset of the data. Industry analysts and researchers. Okay, so we said we wanted to do it for entrepreneurs and investors. So that's what our report's going to be aimed at. And here's some key aspects of the analysis that are relevant to entrepreneurs and investors. So we want to potentially look at market potential, competitive landscape, industry trends, regional analysis, comparing historical data. So is there a concept of time in here? Doesn't look like there is. This is the 2022 data set though. In that data set where we downloaded it, which I can't remember which tab I was on, but I'm sure I'll find it eventually. Nope. Oh, here one. This one? No, this one. No, this one. Hey, 2022 data, business operations, price and wage setting. So I wonder if there's other data. It'd be nicer if we had a data set where there was, if it went over time, but that's okay. We'll get better at this as we go. So something that goes over time would be better. Right, that's okay. We'll continue on with this. So we won't be able to do some of that stuff that it's suggesting though, right? So we can't look at historical data because there is no historical data. We've only got one data set. So regional analysis, if data is available at the regional level, entrepreneurs and investors can identify specific regions with high concentrations of business in their target market, market caps, looking for underserved markets or niches, success factors. Well, I don't think we definitely don't have the data to do the analysis that it's kind of suggesting we potentially could. And this is where I don't know. Now let me think about that from the context of the context of how that plays out with users. Usually when you're talking to end users, they have their own data set. They'll have an idea of what they want to read or look at. So we should approach it from that perspective where we've got a data set. I'm going to have a quick look through my sample data sets. Surely I've got one that I can use. Surely. Let's see if it knows. Based on the above, which so now it's suggesting visualizations. A bar chart for the number of businesses by industry. A stacked bar chart for the business system size distribution by industry. A matrix, business size distribution across industries. These visualizations provide an initial understanding of a business landscape for companies serving individuals or households. All right, let's create these because I want to get into the Power BI building thing at least a little bit. We'll see how we go. So I'm going to go and get that data from the data set. Do we need ChatGPT to tell us how to do this? I don't think so. I think we can manage to get our own data. Where did I save that data? That's a good question. Is it still open? And I haven't saved it yet. Business operations survey, price and wage setting, save as. Into downloads. Oh, it's already there. Okay, close it. Don't save. Get data. Downloads. Date modified. Where is it? Oh, it was a CSV file. Whoops. Get data, CSV. Downloads. Hey, there it is. Open. Looks good. Transform. Okay, how's it going so far with its score? Defining the purpose of the report. I think it's done pretty well at that. Maybe we have to think about that. And then gathering and preparing the data, that's kind of where we're at now. And it's already designed a couple of visualizations. All right. So it has been pretty clear about nailing down the use case. So in this case, we're building a report for entrepreneurs. I think that's really important that we've asked it to do that and that we've chosen a specific audience, because I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. So I'm happy that it suggested that. Is this public? It's publicly available data, yeah. Yeah, I'll put those links in for getting access to OpenAI soon. All right, so we've got our data. I think I'm going to remove this business main customer. Let's split the column. And then we'll call this main customer. And then we'll remove this. And then we'll make it cleaner. Trim. Okay, so now we've got main customer. What have we got? Our options here? What is 75%? Oh no! Don't tell me there was conflated between. I can't do this for. What did it actually? What does this say? Oh, they're different metrics. I see. Do I need to unpivot this? I think I'm going to need to do some tricky transformations. Oh, that's actually a good test. Was there something? Was there an error there I saw? No. Okay. So I've got a column that has got different measures in it. And then the value. So it's a key value pair situation. It's already been unpivoted. And then what is this? These are different. Proportion of customers on long-term price contract. Oh, these are different categories. Ugh. In the 1 to 25% category, the 26 to 50% category. Okay, what's next? 0. Proportion of customers. There's interesting categorizations going on here. Maybe that's okay. Can I just create measures around all of this? Or would I want this as a, I feel like I'd want this as, these are almost separate data sets that have been all mushed together in a union. Maybe I should split them up. How can I ask ChatGPT what to do with this data set?
Don't you just filter on them and then?
Yeah, I could set it as
aggregate?
yeah. Maybe I could set this as a thing and then reference it and then filter that one. And then that's the main customer data set. Does that help me? I don't think there's any, so I mean, this is this is the thing about data is you often run into these transformation challenges, right? Is there any way I can describe this to ChatGPT where it can help me? I don't think so. I think it's gonna fail.
We could try. You could try
Yeah.
to put the advanced. So if you go to advanced editor, just copy out the M code and say, could you please help me normalize this data set? Oh no, it doesn't have the rows.
I'd need to express it somehow, wouldn't I?
Oh no, use that one there should have it because you've got the change type, which will have like all the columns and stuff in it. Yeah, so just give it a go. Say, can you please help me normalize this data set for reporting?
Challenge though is I think I have to paste all of the data set in because it's got unless because each one of these rows has multiple, each one of these categories has multiple rows.
I think
know what I
it'll
mean?
probably understand that.
Do you reckon? Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm a Power BI newbie and I need help with this data set. So I'm just going to copy the whole lot. It's going to be too long, surely. How many? It's
No. Just copy the advanced M, like from the advanced query editor. Just copy that M code and ask if you can have some help with
I
normalizing
don't think
the
this is
data.
okay. All right, we'll try that. Copy.
I could be completely wrong, so I'm willing to be wrong here.
No, yeah, I'm interested to see what it's saying. Okay.
You attach files, point it towards a file.
I don't want to say normalize because I don't want it to do a specific action. Help me structure, I'm going to say. Help me structure this data. Sorry, what was that question, Paul?
The file upload is coming. I mean, they've been advertising it for a while, but they're slowly releasing it.
Yeah, there's different services that can read files and things like that. There's all these plugins and stuff that we for the report. Your M code's already done some of the initial transformations, such as promoting headers. Yes. Rename the columns. Okay. Trim the text. Fair enough. What does it want us to remain them to?
Gives you a summary of what it's
business
done.
type and customer type.
Yeah.
Oh, it's telling us what to do in this kind of structure. So building on the structure. So it's given me snippets of code. Here's the complete M code. I was going to ask it to give me the complete M code, but it's already anticipated that I'll ask that, and it's giving me the whole lot. So let's see what it tries to do. Oh, it's struggling now. It's starting to slow down. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm going to quickly find these links to the OpenAI, Azure OpenAI. All right, it's giving me some M code. Okay, hang on, let me just give you this first. Here is the request access to Azure OpenAI service. If you're interested in the OpenAI service for your own private use, I put it in the chat. That takes you to, and for those of you on the video, it's there's an AKA MS thing for it, but here's the full URL if you happen to need it from the video. But this will give you a form. You have to put in your request access thing. It took only a day or so for them to give it to me. But I am an MVP, so that might have helped with that because it asks you, are you an MVP? But if you're already a Microsoft partner and stuff, you're obviously going to get access a bit quicker than probably regular customers. But to be honest, I think they're pretty much giving access to everybody at the moment because they're wanting everyone to have a play with it. The other one is that you'll need to also request access to GPT-4 within the Azure OpenAI service, which has only just become available. And so you can see here, GPT-4 is now available. So all of this stuff is on the Azure page for OpenAI as well. All right. So let's see how it went with that M code. Build down industry. Really? Did a fill down? That's interesting. Okay, so it added a few steps, but it didn't change the top, I noticed. That's interesting. So it changed business type, customer type, filled down the industry thing. Was industry maybe not complete? Added top level industry. And then filled down the bottom level industry. Oh, that's what? What's it doing? So, no, wait. Agriculture. It added agriculture here, 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 and here. Wait, what has it done? If level is 1, then industry, else null. Ah, it looked at the level.
Obviously, it's a good example of why not to do this on your own projects, but
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? You wouldn't. So it's interpreted level as being the industry level, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's inferred
I
a
don't know.
hierarchy.
Inferred a hierarchy, exactly. Yeah. I wonder
good.
if that,
You know what I mean?
that's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. But hey, it gave us valid M code. So that's really interesting. It's really interesting. We're run out of time, but you can see where we're going here. It's going to do some interesting things. I want to give it I don't think that's a pass yet. That's not a pass on data modeling, definitely not. You couldn't give this you couldn't automate this and reliably have it work, right? So the people are safe for the short term. But there is some interesting stuff. So I think my takeaways from today are certainly in defining the report. So this type of stuff where we're defining the audience of the report, where we're looking at how it might, some of the suggestions for what might go into that report, some of that stuff, really, really good. I'd say really good. Probably as good as a human could make suggestions around that kind of stuff, in my opinion. If you give it a data set and say, hey, what's the sort of things we could report on this? I think it's very good at that kind of thing. I don't think it'd struggle with some of the details. But as we get into now, let's turn this into a report, and we'll do more of this next week when we continue this process. But I think you're going to start to see it kind of struggle with understanding proper context, as it kind of did there.
By the way, to determine whether people are safe, you have to first work out what their expected work life is going to be. And then the shorter it is, the safer they are. I'm only saying this from my point of view. And then the longer it is, the less safe they are.
You're safe.
I'm unbelievably safe. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
unbelievably safe. But some people on the call may not be very safe. I'm just saying.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, folks, thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance. It's great to see you all. Thanks for having so many people here. If you want to hang out for a little while, I'll be here till 1:30 or so. So feel free to have a chat. I'll stop the recording now. For those of you on the video, we'll see you next time. And for those of you who are leaving, thanks very much. It's great to see you all, and we'll see you next week.
Hi.